This is a test on the DX50 recording onto a Ferric Type 1 audio cassette. The date is the 57th of March, something. There's been a lot of talk in your circle of, by the way, I'm talking to you, and this should function as a kind of self-help cassette, because there's been a lot of talk about how to come to terms with various forms of anxiety, self-doubt, and how to overcome these things and how to deal with them and tackle them, and problems in your life, in your job, and in your relationships. And I'd like to just draw your attention to my circumstances where I don't actually have a job or a relationship or any friends, in fact, so I thought you might like to listen to this tape, which will set a benchmark against which you can measure your own life. Things aren't so bad as you think they are. I'd like to go back in time in the year 1999. A road that joins into Cemetery Road. It runs parallel to Cemetery Road. It's called Knight's Road, I think. But it's gone now. There used to be garages dilapidated in this state, earmarked for demolition. Next to the most evil name to that offices. So I thought I deserve an office. I'll just commandeer one of these empty garages and I was using them. You have to remember that in the 80s, nobody had mobile phones like they do now, so you just close the door on someone when there was an incident, some kids were throwing stones at me. I don't know, I think I've been magnetised to receive even at that early stage when I wasn't bin diving as frequently, and I had to just, they were swinging cats, towel, and it's animal cruelty. I had to say, can you stop doing that? And then obviously they turned their wrath on me. So they were they went into one of the garages and all I did was close the door. And it turned out that nobody heard their cries for just a few weeks, and they were malnourished when they found that they identified me anyway, and that was the start of everything. You have a criminal record. Employers won't touch you with a barge pole. This was in the early 2000s when there weren't as many initiatives as there are now to rehabilitate people that have been tarnished by no fault of their own with criminality. So the downward spiral begins at a point of downward trajectory. I'd struggled to reclaim some possibilities, some destiny, by studying at great expense. I mean, the student loan still hasn't been paid off, and that's all I know, just research and studying, and unfortunately I'll never be actually in academia. It seems to be the most flatulent of windbags sent to these funded PhD posts, and I can't get a look in. So I've spent most of the days looking in bins, finding stuff to sell online or in pubs. There were other incidents. The downward spiral is signposted with all kinds of terrible incidents. The second incident I can remember, which really did cast a shadow over everything, was in 2004. And I was in my garden sawing up some wood, a kind of fire a frame for a fiberglass turtle I was making for the Deptford Open Arts platform. I'm not an artist, I kind of gravitated into the arts because it's the only employment when you're so weird and fucked up that that's all you can do. And I was just thinking kind of turtle. It was a turtle. There's no concept behind it. It was a fiberglass turtle, quite well made, and the neighbour's dog, which is a weird kind of cross between a rabbit in the garden barking his head off, attacked me. There was blood coming out of his ears, and then the owner came in the garden and just shouting the odds and pinned me against my own garage in my own garden, and I threw a brick at his head, and he staggered a bit, and he did it as he was walking, he sort of shouting and staggering, fell over as he reached the end of the driveway. He was unconscious, he was okay. I mean, it wasn't a big brick, but it's still classified as assault, even though it's on, my parents' property. They weren't in at that time. They came back later, and the neighbours saw all this and phoned the police and called me a fucking retard and all these things. This then became a court case. Obviously, the dog. I forgot to say the dog died as well. I love dogs, but not that kind of dog that goes on people's gardens and tries to bite them when they're trying to build a fiberglass turtle. Then you really are not going to find any employment whatsoever with a criminal record that now extends towards physical violence. I don't ask for these things to happen, they just do happen to me, and I think there's a good quote actually from the Japanese fashion designer Yoshi Yamamoto, who said, a persimmon tree bears persimmons, which is a kind of fruit. Not all among them will grow and ripen. Some are damned, existing only to nourish the blessed, chosen persimmons. That really sums up what I'm getting at here. It's all entertainment for you, isn't it? But then you can go on and go back to your work or whatever it is you want to do. Whilst I rot, still carry about. I should say, although there's I turn up at car boot sales without a car, with a carrying case, and then I'd be told off because you need to pay for a pitch, and I'd argue that you don't need to pay for a pitch if you haven't got a car, because it's got a bag of shit, DVDs and things. I just pulled out for a bit, and one of the things I was trying to sell was my book. Anyway, this all kind of got back to the DWP. It turned out I was essentially defrauding the system, even though the doctor had written me off, but I was not paid that back. Instead, I'd opted to do community service at the local tip, which was the Westmill 2 landfill site in Ware, which I was very interested in because I spent the rest of my life indoors. A job which was beyond like anyway. And the last thing that happened is interesting because it actually resulted in my death. I'm already dead, actually, and you're hearing this in limbo. That I was on by the edge of the motorway,